As we walk around every day, we are surrounded by chemical reactions. The plants are carrying out photosynthesis, every living thing is carrying out respiration, our cars are conducting combustion of fossil fuels, and our factories are producing a vast range of chemicals and pharmaceuticals that we use in our daily lives. And yet, the mass of our planet remains remarkably consistent. The reason for this unusual fact was first suggested by Antoine Lavoisier back in 1789. Now, remember that this was before even John Dalton's ideas about atoms had been published. And so Lavoisier's hypothesis was based not on atomic theory, but on very detailed and accurate experiments conducted in his laboratory, where he measured the masses of reactants and products and found them to be the same. Lavoisier's hypothesis was to suggest that the mass stayed constant in every chemical reaction. And when you think about it, that's not an initially intuitive conclusion. After all, I load petrol into my car and its mass seems to disappear along with the petrol as I drive. If I burn a log on a fire, I end up with ashes that are a fraction of the weight of the initial log. And if I light a candle, I can watch it visibly shrink before my eyes. And so Lavoisier's precision was critical in helping scientists to understand that matter wasn't disappearing. Lavoisier's hypothesis is today referred to as the law of conservation of mass. And it was a critical first step in our understanding of chemistry. And it led to the conclusion that matter itself was conserved in chemical reactions and was therefore just somehow rearranged as the reaction took place. Now, exactly how or why this happened remained a mystery to the scientists of the late 18th century. To the modern chemist, the reason is obvious. Every chemical is made out of atoms, and those atoms are neither created nor destroyed during the process of a chemical reaction. Each atom has its own tiny, fixed mass, and as the atom remains in existence throughout the chemical reaction, the total mass must therefore also remain constant. In your exam, you might be asked to express Lavoisier's law like this. In a chemical reaction, no atoms are created or destroyed, and so the mass of products is identical to the total mass of reactants. Now, this of course is why we can write chemical reactions like this, listing the chemical nature of every reactant and product, and then balance the number of each to ensure that at the start and finish we have exactly the same number and type of each atom. Being able to track reactions in this manner allows us to make sense of apparent breaches of Lavoisier's law. For example, behind me are the remains of a lime kiln built around about the same time that Lavoisier would have been doing his research. In that chamber over there, workers would have deposited large quantities of limestone, calcium carbonate, and it would have been heat treated until it thermally decomposed and broke down into what they called quicklime, but we now know as calcium oxide. Of course, there was much less calcium oxide than the calcium carbonate that went in. And where had that additional mass gone? As chemists, we can find that missing mass by simply looking at the formulae of the chemical compounds. If we look at the formula of calcium carbonate here and calcium oxide here, we can see the atoms that are missing. There's 1 carbon and 2 oxygens. And of course, if we add in some carbon dioxide, we now have a balanced chemical equation with the correct number and type of each atom on each side. Let's pop into the laboratory and have a look at some more examples. Before we get started here, I should just say that if you're looking for help in writing and balancing chemical equations, like that one, then I've got a separate video for you here on the channel. And if you're unsure how to balance a simple equation, you should probably check it out, as they are a key part of your chemical toolkit. But getting back to the law of conservation of mass, there are 2 types of exam question that you could be asked about. The first is asked in general terms, like this. A student measures the mass of some calcium carbonate and some hydrochloric acid before mixing them. After the reaction is complete, the student reweighs the mixture and finds that it is lighter than the combined mass of the reactants. Explain this observation in terms of the law of conservation of mass. Include a word equation in your answer. Okay, in such questions, the answer is always that either a gas was produced in the reaction which has escaped, and so that will reduce the apparent mass of the products, or that an unmeasured gas took part in the reaction, and so the products will have a higher apparent mass than the reactants. In the case of this question, the reduction in mass is because a gas, carbon dioxide, was generated during the reaction and it escaped the container. And so our written answer would look like this. When calcium carbonate reacts with hydrochloric acid, it produces carbon dioxide, water, and calcium chloride, like this. The carbon dioxide is produced as a gas, and the gas escapes into the atmosphere, and so the total mass of the products appears to be lighter than the total mass of the reactants. Another version of this question could involve the reaction between magnesium and oxygen. For example, a student burns a 10-gram piece of magnesium ribbon in air contained in a small crucible. Explain why the magnesium oxide produced weighs more than the original piece of magnesium. And of course, we would answer this question by stating that during the reaction, the magnesium becomes magnesium oxide, but that the mass of the oxygen could not be measured before the reaction because it was a gas in the air. And as a result, the product is heavier than the recorded mass of magnesium ribbon. Both versions of that question are pretty straightforward and neither require us to reach for our calculators, but the examiner could ask us a question that might require some simple mathematics, like this one. If 24 grams of magnesium reacts completely with 16 grams of oxygen, what mass of magnesium oxide will be produced? Notice the examiner has given us a word equation and not a balanced symbol equation, and that's a clue that this question won't require us to use moles or complex maths. In fact, all we need to do is to write the quantities underneath the chemicals and then employ the law of conservation of mass to see what is required to get the total masses on the 2 sides of the equation to balance. So this time, on the left, we have 24 grams of magnesium and 16 grams of oxygen. And critically, the examiner has told us that they will react completely. In other words, all of the reactants will be used up. And that of course means that the total mass of the products will just be 24 plus 16, and so we will generate 40 grams of magnesium oxide. Here's another example, this time using the formation of calcium oxide. 100 kilograms of calcium carbonate are placed into a lime kiln and are heated until they are fully thermally decomposed into calcium oxide. The word equation for this reaction is shown below. If 56 kilograms of calcium oxide are collected at the end of the process, what mass of carbon dioxide was produced? Here we start by writing out the word equation and placing the known masses underneath the correct terms. Now we apply the conservation of mass and we see that we will need to subtract 56 from 100 and we will get our answer of 44 kilograms of carbon dioxide. So we've seen that, thanks to Lavoisier, we can account for changes of mass during reactions and we can perform simple calculations using his theory. There are more examples of these questions for you to have a go at on this worksheet, and if you get stuck, just ask a question in the comment section below. The questions in this episode are really just the simplest examples of what we call quantitative chemistry, and the next steps require the use of balanced symbol equations and calculations involving a unit called the mole. If you want to know what a mole is and how they're used in chemistry, then you'll need to watch the next video in this series. And I'll see you there. Bye for now.